As we continue this march into fascism right here in the United States of America, one of the questions that I continue to return to is, where are all the moderates at? Where are all these supposed moderate Republicans who are going to stand up to this fascist regime? And do you really want to live in a country where it is just the norm for Democratic lawmakers and officials to be targeted all around the country as a means to instill fear and intimidation and rain terror down on these communities? Because that is exactly what we are seeing out of this Trump administration. And would you really be okay if somebody like Joe Biden sent his goons out there to target MAGA Republicans or even moderate Republicans? Is that really the country that you want to live in? And why is nobody, these moderate Republicans, why are none of them standing up against these blatant political targetings by Donald Trump? Go ahead and take a look at the latest one from New York. He is a comptroller named Brad Lander. He was at the courthouse observing different court hearings, and when he tried to escort an immigrant out of the courthouse, he was detained by ICE. Let's go ahead and take a look at this arrest, and then we will talk about it on the other side. If you guys do appreciate my work, please do remember to subscribe.
Guys, back up, guys. Back up. I understand you're pregnant, but I need you to back up. If you're interfering with this arrest, we're going to arrest. Back up, guys. Back up, guys.
This is not legal to take someone without a judicial warrant.
Please don't put him in the elevator and then claim you have the warrant.
You don't have a warrant for him.
I will let go when you show me the judicial warrant. Where is it?
So show it. Let us see it. So let us see it before you take his warrant.
Excuse me, please stay back. No! Take it back. Take it back. Step back. Please, step back. Step back, guys. Step back.
U.S. citizens. Sir, you don't have the authority to arrest U.S. citizens. Please stay back. You don't have. I'm not obstructing. I'm standing right here in the hallway. I have to see the judicial warrant.
This is just unacceptable. You can see here that nobody was acting violently. Brad Landon was arm in arm with an immigrant and was asking to see the judicial warrant, because that is due process. That is standard protocol. And what has been happening in these courthouses with these wannabe Gestapo thugs from ICE, they've been showing up to these courthouses and targeting immigrants who are trying to engage in our legal process. They are trying to do the right thing by going to their court hearings. And so what happened in this particular situation, you've got an immigrant who goes into court, who's trying to get his whatever resolved. The judge dismisses the case, and then as soon as that person walks out of the courtroom into the hallway, as you can see here, ICE does their thing. And you'll notice they're wearing face masks, they're not identifying themselves, they're not handing over the judicial warrant to a Democratic official of New York City. Is this really the country that we want to live in? This is no way to treat people. This is no way to treat Democratic officials. But this is a deliberate strategy by the Trump administration to silence dissent. This is not the first time that Brad Lander has done this. And so it seems like it's very plausible that they could have targeted him for this arrest, because he is somebody who is trying to stand up and do the right thing for these immigrants. And then you've got DHS coming out so fast and saying shit like this. New York City comptroller Brad Lander was arrested for assaulting law enforcement and impeding a federal officer. Our heroic ICE law enforcement officers face a 413% increase in assaults against them. It is wrong that politicians seeking higher office undermine law enforcement safety to get a viral moment. No one is above the law, and if you lay a hand on a law enforcement officer, you will face consequences. You guys just watched the same video that I watched. Nobody was being violent there. And to lock arms with somebody is not a form of impeding a federal official. All they had to do was present the judicial warrant, and Brad Lander probably would have stepped aside. Why is it that ICE is going into courthouses and not presenting the correct documentation to take these people away? It's because they are trying to rain terror down on these communities. We've already heard Donald Trump multiple times now saying that these types of tactics are going to ramp up, that we needed to wage war on these democratic strongholds, the power centers, as he calls them. And now you've got these ICE officials running around like a bunch of madmen, like a bunch of jackbooted thugs, arresting Donald Trump's perceived political opponents. This is not what is supposed to be happening in the United States. I don't know how many times I can fucking say that and how irritated it makes me to continue to say this over and over again. But what we are witnessing is an authoritarian power grab, and it is fascism. That's what it is. Here's Brad's wife speaking after the arrest as she was with him in the courthouse.
Brad has been here. This is his third time volunteering for the court to observe the court. I have been moved and horrified by the stories he shared with me, and so I wanted to join him today to stand with him and to bear witness against what is happening. We sat in a number of courtrooms. We watched folks getting their cases dismissed with completely inadequate explanation as to what that means. They were told their cases are dismissed. They were not told that that subjected them to being removed forcibly by agents, masked agents that were not going to identify themselves once they stepped out of the courtroom. That is not the rule of law. That is not due process. That is not acceptable in this country or anywhere else.
Yes, she's exactly right. It's unacceptable. This is not how our federal agencies should be treating anybody, whether you're an undocumented immigrant, whether you're a documented immigrant, or if you're an American citizen. We've been seeing them rounding up American citizens by mistake. Or, in cases like these, they're blatantly rounding up American citizens, trying to claim that they are somehow impeding a federal officer. Make no mistake, people. This is a concerted effort to target political dissent. This is a concerted effort by the Trump administration to try to intimidate Democrats and people on the left. That is what this is. We have seen so many of these arrests now. We've seen a sitting congresswoman being arrested in New Jersey, charged with a crime that could, get her up to 17 years. They're threatening to go after Gavin Newsom. We've seen Democratic staffers in Congress being arrested. It's a shit show, and it is a way for this authoritarian regime to try to squash dissent. Why do you think they are hitting California so hard right now? Because they know Gavin Newsom is a threat to the Republican Party. They know he is a threat to somebody like Donald Trump. Now, luckily, Brad Lander has good support in New York City. City officials gathered right after the arrest and held a press conference and a little protest/rally type thing. And here is Daniel Coates speaking at that rally about how this is intentional.
This is intentional. But they are also acting behind closed doors, using smoke screens. What are they doing? What is happening in 26 Federal Plaza? Why are people being held there for multiple days? We learned last week, because of the bravery of somebody who was detained there, sent to New Jersey, and spoke out, right? Risked his own case to speak to members of the press, to share his experience in 26 Federal Plaza. Overcrowding. Rooms on the 10th floor that are not meant to be spent overnight, where 120 people are crammed into a room meant for far less. People are sleeping on the floors. People cannot sleep lying down. They are sitting up. People are sleeping in the bathrooms. People are staying there for multiple nights. They're not given an opportunity to change, not given an opportunity to clean themselves, brush their teeth. Dietary restrictions, medical issues are not being respected. This is the way that ICE is moving people from this area to far away, far-flung places where they are more easy to deport. That is wrong. That is egregious. It is wrong. It is a violation of everything moral. And in more cases that's going on up here, it is a violation of our rights.
So here he's outlining some of the egregious actions that we are currently seeing coming from ICE and other federal agencies. They're holding people in these federal buildings in rooms that weren't meant to keep people overnight. They're not allowing people to change their clothes. They're not allowing people to brush their teeth or clean themselves. Again, this is mine and your taxpayer dollars that are treating people like this. So again, I come back to the question, is this the country that you want to live in? This is not how I want my tax dollars being spent. This is not how we should be treating people, whether they're documented or if they're a citizen in the United States. We should treat people with human dignity. We should treat people with respect. We should not be rounding them up at courthouses when they're only trying to engage in a lawful process. But that is what we are doing in Trump's America. Here's Zohran Mamdani. Sorry if I butchered that name. He's talking about, the arrest of Brad Lander and asking ICE to just follow the law, which would have been an easy thing to do in this situation.
What we saw this morning was Controller Lander asking ICE to follow the law, asking them to show a judicial warrant signed by a judge. And we have to be clear that in his ask and in their response, we saw that ICE has no interest in the law. It has no interest in order. It only has an interest in terrorizing people across this country.
Yeah, he's exactly right. It would have been easy for the ICE agents to identify themselves. It would have been easy for them to hand over or show the judicial warrant. And I'm sure Brad Lander would have stepped aside. Like I said, all we are asking for is some basic due process. All we are asking for, when you've got a president of the United States, when you've got this Gestapo-like agency who is doing unspeakable things across the country, it's going to provoke a reaction from the American people. And you're going to have people like Brad Lander who stand up for these immigrants. And that is exactly what we should be doing. When we have a rogue agency rounding people up without any due process, stuffing them in rooms, in basements, and not allowing them to clean themselves, and so on and so forth, you are going to get the American people who are going to snap back and try to stand up for these people and their basic human rights. So all you had to do was show the judicial warrant and make sure, verify with the comptroller of New York City that you are following a legal process. It would have been easy. Here's council member Tiffany Coban, I think is what she said. And she's talking about other horrific stories regarding immigrants in New York.
Today he was roughed up, detained, and disappeared by ICE. It should not have happened. But let me say this. That is what's happening to our neighbors every single day in our communities. In my district in Queens, we had a parent put her child on the school bus. And as soon as that school bus drove away, they took her too. So Brad is not merely a person who put his body on the line day after day, without many of y'all knowing so, to escort our neighbors safely out of court. But he represents the best of our city who is out here right now putting everything on the line to keep each other safe.
What Brad Lander is doing by going to the courthouse and escorting these people outside of the building or to their homes or however he is doing it is very commendable. We need more people like Brad Lander who is going to stand up for these people in New York. And to hear all these tragic stories about parents being taken after they drop their child off at school or they send them away on the school bus or whatever it may be, is that the country that we should be living in? Is that the country that you want to live in? These stories, they're horrific. We've heard dozens and dozens of them from across the country. We see high school students getting rounded up. It is disgusting. It is un-American to be treating people like this. Luckily, Brad Lander was held for a couple hours in the federal building where he was arrested, even though they didn't tell his wife where exactly he was at. He was released a couple hours later. He does acknowledge that, of course, being the comptroller of New York City, being somebody of status and privilege, obviously, he's treated much better than many of the undocumented or documented immigrants who are coming and meeting their fate with these ICE officers. So it's important that we start standing up for these people, because not everybody can make a few phone calls. Not everybody has the privilege to just be able to be held for a couple hours and then released. And they didn't even charge him, by the way. But all of these other people who are coming into court trying to engage in our legal process, they're rounded up, never to be heard from again. Taken down to Louisiana to make it easier to deport them, or whatever the game plan is. This administration is carrying out all of these fascistic tactics to instill fear, to create a landscape of chaos, and try to intimidate their political opponents. That is what this is all about, and we need to continue to stand up against this nonsense. And again, I'm going to ask you one more time. Is this really the country that you want to live in? I'm not talking about you MAGA lunatics who are cheering this shit on. I'm talking about those of you who are in the middle. Those of you who may have voted for Trump because you were feeling some economic anxiety and you thought maybe he would restore the economy to where things were better for. I'm asking you, is this really the country that you want to live in? Is this how we should be treating people in the United States of America, whether they're a citizen or whether they're undocumented? Or should we be treating people with a bit of respect, with a bit of dignity, and making sure, above all, that we are following our own fucking laws and giving people the due process that they are entitled to? So we will continue to cover these insane stories, and we will continue to call out this fascist administration who is trying this authoritarian power grab right beneath our noses. So I will leave it there for now, guys. If you guys got anything out of this video, please do remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Maybe share with a friend or two. I'd very much appreciate that. We are trying to build something here on the left that adequately pushes back against the right-wing media ecosystem that just launders this fascist nonsense for the Trump administration day in and day out. So if you do like what I do here, please remember to smash that subscribe button. Of course, that is free. And if you guys want to see how millions upon millions of people came out to the No Kings protest to stand up for due process, to stand up for our immigrant neighbors, go ahead and watch that video on the screen now. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next one.